horse trials. We're looking forward to 4 days of wonderful competition in this spectacular environment. The weather's been fantastic, the crowds are coming out, expecting in excess of 50,000 people to the event. And Katie, what have we got to look forward to rider-wise?
We have many international riders here and also riders that have rode at the Olympics, such as Zara Phillips, William Fox-Pitt, Andrew Nicholson, who recently won Burghley, is here. It's going to be an exciting event, and the cross-country does look challenging.
They've really beefed it up this year. It's a course you've got to ride to the finish. There's the usual questions, but things like the water jump really are going to take a bit of jumping, and then there's a very technical fence coming out with a double of corners. You're going to expect to see quite a few problems on the course, but good safe sorts of problems. Then we'll see the horses coming home, they'll be getting tired, and traditionally where there have been pretty simple fences, they've put in a couple of solid questions that are going to take some jumping, so that should be interesting to see as well. It's going to be a pretty serious competition. Ooh. Lost the shoulder, a reflection of a hunting style seat. It's very secure, but you could see the way the horse jumped it. It was slightly hollow and held in the back. You could see the horse holding its back legs. So this should be Ginny Howe and DeVille a bit, and indeed it is. Nice and balanced, let him off, keep your shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, more confident jump. See how the horse slid over the fence, leg and go. Again, a little bit more positive, coming up to the double of corners, coming out of the water. You can see the speed change with the water, leg and 1 and 2. Yeah, completely different. Very positive from the horse and from the rider. Christina Cook, this should be classy. Yeah, she's got it already. Real good. We're here with Eric Winter at Blenheim. We're sat here above the water, and Eric's the course designer, has been for the last 5 years. Eric, with the course this year, what have you done compared to other years?
I think we've picked it up and made it a little bit stronger. I've thought very much about the way we use the terrain, and we've gone back to some slightly more old-fashioned questions. Mm-hmm. We've got some, mixed in with the modern stuff that we do. We've gone to some much lighter rails.
Yeah. In thinner lighter?
Yeah, thinner lighter, so a smaller diameter rail sort of thing. So we went through a stage with course design where we were using rails that were maybe 2 feet, 45 centimetres deep sort of thing. Now we're back to sort of 30 centimetre rails, 40 centimetre rails, which are just give you a little bit more air underneath the fences and make them look a little bit bigger, although we've not really pushed that. They're not enormous. They have a perspective of being bigger. And really sort of, to me, I've upped the tempo of the last part of the course to make that slightly stronger.
So more jumping efforts?
More jumping efforts in the last part, not necessarily just stronger jumping efforts, slightly less distance between them, a little bit more control's got to be shown in the latter half of the course. Blenheim would be one of those places where I think when you came across the water for the third time, across the big river for the second time, you'd make up time in the last 4 or 5 fences. This year, I think that would be much harder. But to me, there's, I think it's really the package of the whole course. The there are places where you really have to lengthen. At the top on the far side here, there's some mounds with some brush parallels on the top, and that's really a very big power question. So they've got that very big power question. Straight after that, we've got a little train, which is slightly on the angle, which is a shortening question. And then we go from there to a little hollow fence, which is another shortening accuracy sort of question, and then back to another big power question. So to me, what I've done this year is very much shorten them and lengthen them, and looking at the training of the horses and the rider's ability to ask for the power and turn it on and then control it round the corner. And
So when we walk around the course, we've really got to look at it in perspective of the whole course.
Yes,
and how it all
I
relates.
think if you look at one fence, there's no one fence out there that you think that fence is unjumpable, or that is the most enormous thing I've ever seen. But I think when you put it together, it's a little bit like sitting an exam. Some of these places you've got to know what you're sat on and be able to come back to the appropriate speed for those fences, and I think it's that side of it that will ask the question.
The technical skills that ultimately you're going to need to go on to a four-star. So presumably, you know, things like you're trying to teach riders about, if I have a problem here, how's that going to affect me in 2 or 3 fences?
Yes,
time
exactly.
And get them
There
thinking.
are 4 fairly big ditches on the course. The biggest ditch is the last ditch. If you've had a good jump over the earlier ditches, you can just cruise down to that. If you've had a little bit of a problem over some of the others, you maybe need to give your horse a reminder over the ditch at the top of the bank here, because the next ditch you come to is quite a big one, so you want it in front of your leg. And
when you design the course, do you create it in phases? I mean, you were talking about, you know, where riders were looking at, they could get home, they could catch up time in the last third almost. My impression is there's almost like a sort of warm-up area, a few technical questions, but not too much. We've got the horses jumping, especially in the format that we're using these days as opposed to the old chase. And then there's probably that middle third, latter second half where it gets quite technical and quite strong. We ask a lot of questions. And then look after the horses a bit on the way home. But
very much, I think course design is like telling a story to me. It has a nice introduction that gets you a little bit excited and gets you open, you know, gets the horses open and going forwards. And then there's the setup for the story. And then there's the guts of your questions. And then you want a nice ending. You know, and so I want the horses to come home with a smile on their face. I want them to enjoy the experience. I always look for them to be coming home the last sort of kilometre, ears pricked and thinking that was a great positive thing. But actually, it's about education. It's like writing an educational storybook that sort of trains your horses to go forward to another level.
Thanks for talking to us. And good luck with the weekend.
Good,
and we'll go and have a look at the course for ourselves.
Yeah, well, the weather's great, so hopefully it'll be great fun. Okay.
Cheers.
Thanks, Warren.
Here we are at fence 4, 4A, 4B in the cross country. Just getting going. Nice, decent sized tables, as you'll see. We come in here, just want to get them off the front of this a little bit. Nice jump in. And, you know, we're looking to get the horses confident at the moment. So we're on 3 strides down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. The dip's going to draw them out a bit. Yeah, so a nice, comfortable 3 strides. Keep them rolling on, and you know your horses should be jumping really well down through here. All right, here we come to fence 6 in the CCI 3-star. Again, a rail, looks like you're jumping into water. Very nicely presented, so you can get in and ride at this a bit. As you'll see, a good quality landing, but you're over this, down into the water, out 2 strides, coming out to the flower log on the other side. Should jump well, but starting to give the horses something to think about. Here we are, fence 11A and 11B for the CCI 3-star, the 3-day event. The young horses do the single fence on its own there. As you can see, quite a decent sort of table, coming down on a turn to a similar table down into the woods. Yeah, you want to have a bit of jump in the tank to jump this, but some good fences to get the horses confident moving on to the rest of the course. So now we've come through the water, we're coming out the other side, and the jump out quite a skinny corner here. Takes a lot of jumping, distraction from the water, everything else. You want a good focus, jump that, good question. But even more on 2 strides, 1, 2, 1, 2, is this corner here. You're really going to have to make sure you get this one right. There'll be a few glance-offs tomorrow, and then that's replicated on the other side, so you can jump at this side or the other side. But yeah, good question. We're at fence 25 in the 3-star CCI track, and our favourites for this event, another ditch brush. Oh, quite significant when you get from here, but it's getting old. If you do it from here, what are we looking about? 4-foot brush, I suppose. If you've got enough energy in the tank, no problems, good galloping fence. If a horse is getting tired, then that's getting quite significant. For the young horse class, a similar fence around the other side, but nowhere near as significant a ditch. So not quite the same question, but you know, good rhythm, come down here, jump it in your stride, and just keep travelling. I'm sure it'll jump very well. Right, fence 26 for the 3-day event and 22 for the young horse class. Hanging rail on the top of a mound, landing, turning to a skinny on probably on about 5 strides. We'll walk it in a minute. Again, you know, nice sort of fence, but you want to get the horse together and make sure that he's going to jump this. If they're getting a bit tired, it's a pretty strong question. Exactly what Eric was talking about. You've got to jump your way home here now. In the past, you could probably just canter home and get them over the fences, but you know, this is going to take a bit of work to jump. Here with Andrew Nicholson down at the water. Andrew, firstly, congratulations on Burleigh last week and the Olympics before that. It's been a pretty good couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been a very good couple of weeks. Yeah.
What's your impression of the course?
Yeah, it's challenging right from the start. Very fair though, and I think it's a bit shorter than the last few years.
Yeah.
So probably
a bit more in the tank at the end.
Yeah, but it possibly makes the time a bit harder.
Yeah, he was saying that they've put more fences or more questions in the last third.
And that makes the time much harder.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a fair test.
Be interesting to see how it pans out. Anything particularly that you think that people are going to have to think about and have a look at?
I think it's pretty much all around the course, but yeah, particularly where we are now at the water complex, there's quite a bit of jumping. From the house just on top of the hill there, it looks quite straightforward, but they never jump it well.
Do they come and sort of almost as they're jumping that, they catch all of this and almost get a bit distracted, or?
For whatever reason, they never seem to jump that well over. You got to treat it like it's perhaps a much more difficult.
And you're off the bank just before it as well.
And you jump quite a bit just before, like 3 quite decent fences. So whether they're just thinking a little bit much. Or...
So the green younger horses, you'll be a bit careful that their brain's not starting to cook a bit.
Make sure you get very straight to it and ride it very positively. A nice bend, let them keep travelling down the hill here. It's a big fence, and now they're putting a bit more push on it, it's getting bigger. But it's a very good 3-stride distance to another big fence, which I always prefer. Those you can ride them.
You want to be pretty bold into this, don't you?
And then once you're in the water, you've got 2 corners coming out, which are difficult. And
you might need a bit of trimming as well.
I thought yesterday they were probably the hardest that have been here for a while, but they're looking a bit better now. Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll have a look around the course and see how it goes. Good luck with the rest of the weekend.
Yeah,
thanks for your time.